Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm George. I'm from IRESS, as the slide says. IRESS again. I'm just going to go two heads. I think I had things switched. Just some random things about me. I love community and social tech. As a community manager, I'm always constantly monitoring behavior of communities online and offline. Sometimes I do like to just do things to get a kick out of people, only to see how they react and actually observe cultural behaviors. Oh, sorry, yes, I need to use a microphone. I have a podcast called The It Will Come Show, where I just interview community influencers, leaders, and professionals as well, because I'm that crazy about communities. And I also enjoy philosophy, history, and anime. Every Friday I watch Naruto Shippuden without fail. Now, a little bit about IRESS itself, of course. We are a financial tech company. We've been around for about 19 years now. We are involved in financial markets, wealth management, and lender mortgages. The thing about IRESS that I was really impressed with when I first joined, I've been around for about 8 months now, is that they were looking to change things. They've been around for 19 years. They never did any marketing. They've been pretty lucky in that sense. They're across Australia, the Asia Pacific region, UK, Canada, and South Africa. And we have around 1,800 employees at the moment. Is there anybody here who has more than 500 employees? Okay, cool. So the other fine folks here have talked about the integrations and shown some numbers. I wanted to talk specifically about the collaboration aspect within our company and what we were trying to solve when we originally looked at Slack and what ended up happening. So some of the key challenges we had was, on a much broader scale at IRESS, was team-to-team collaboration issues, technology speed, so new technology is being brought into the company but not being rolled out quick enough to adapt to the expectations of employees, and also just the general change management aspect around that. When we first looked at instant messaging apps, we had an issue with Jabber. So Jabber was the IM that we were using internally, but it was only available to our Australian teams. So we still had other regions like the UK, Canada, South Africa, who were waiting to get Jabber. And that had been about a 1.5 year process. When I came in, to me, I was like, wow, there's other solutions out there which we could just switch on, roll out, and everybody would be able to connect with one another. So that started our journey to actually looking at alternative IM solutions. Now, when we went through all the IM solutions, Slack was actually phased out because it was considered too expensive. So when I was looking at things, even though in my heart of hearts I knew that Slack would be like a really great solution to tackle a whole bunch of problems, Slack was just said no, too expensive. About 4 months later, we managed to get Slack over the line because with increased exposure, with teams actually experimenting with Slack, they could actually get it. Because if we're just looking at the IM solution part of Slack, it seems too expensive. So these bits actually helped out in the selling of or pitching Slack as a solution for the future. So, team-to-team collaboration. In the first 90 days when I started at IRESS, I spent most of my time just camping out with different teams around the company. And I found that there were a lot of teams that worked very well together in their own cocoon, but the team-to-team collaboration was suffering. And our people survey from HR was saying that collaboration was actually company-wide was going down over the years. So I know that a lot of companies now, especially with the adoption of more agile mindset practices, etc., is that we're kind of moving more to a team of teams thinking or structure. And as a community manager, this is the ideal. So we did have a lot of teams, once Slack, actually, no, I'll talk about Slack after that, so continue with the problems. Speed, so once again with Jabber, in terms of the rollout, speed was an issue. Slack was something that when we were able to actually implement, it took no time at all, and we were able to connect people very, very quickly. The change management aspect, historically, IRESS has done very comfortably over 19 years, but whenever it came to the change management aspect, it was, not the greatest. So culturally, a lot of people were not expecting this aspect of the tool rollout to go very well. But because of Slack and their customer success management team as well, when it came to the rollout aspect, we actually did have that support there. And this was another one of the selling points for Slack compared to other solutions, because when you do go with, say if we went with HipChat or something else, they'll give you the tool, but you might have to go with external consultants or try to do things on your own. Whereas when we went with Slack, I knew that they were all about the customers, very emotionally intelligent. I kept saying internally at IRESS, and it helped out with the rollout process. So these are just some of the comments, feedback that we got internally. After we started rolling out, we had a Slack Day event where we actually coordinated events across the world or all the different regions. Every single region had a similar approach to the training day except for UK. But the UK, they tend to do things very differently, and it was very interesting to see how that worked. But yeah, this was I think this was from Canada. So really great feedback. Our account executives, when they hopped onto Slack, I think around month 4 to 5, they were finding that the whole team-to-team collaboration aspect was improving incredibly. Reduced emails, everybody was up to date on what was going on. People in different time zones, of course, were able to see what was happening while they were sleeping, and it just brought a greater sense of connection. This was from our customer support team. They are currently looking at a new solution for their service desk software, and as you can see, that is the level of advocacy for Slack, that it's pushing decisions for other tools and integrations as well. And that was fed to me in Slack, of course. So this is this is from a project or product manager. And when it came to clients and their rollouts or live days, usually it'd be quite a lengthy process for them. But with Slack, it's just sped things up a lot quicker. Support as well. We have a support channel. It's Slack_support. Everybody's getting used to actually putting their messages into those type of channels. And yeah, now they're just kind of circumnavigating the normal protocols around how we actually get help internally. And that has caused some friction as well, with especially the IT teams, but they are realizing that they're also getting reduced amount of support requests and tickets. This is our stats for the number of messages, storage used, etc. that we're getting. That number has already hit 1 million, so we've hit 1 million messages, and we're at around an 81% DMs. And if we're going to look at how we actually measure success, we do actually look at the ratio between channels and DMs. So for us, the biggest piece was actually around the collaboration aspect. My mission is to help IRESS become the most collaborative company in the world. I was like, yep, I'll have that done next week. But this is actually a great way for us to have a look at what's going on culturally with the company. And as we know, that's not always the easiest thing to measure. But I've been on Slack for about 2 years, so externally, I have a team that actually has 20% DMs, and all the other communications are happening in channels. So I can very clearly see that this is a reflection of what's going on inside. A lot of people are used to, in a highly regulated industry, everything is very locked down. You're very sensitive about what you put out into public channels. So we have a big piece at the moment of getting folks used to putting things in channels. So luckily we have a CEO who's very engaged, highly engaged with social in general, and he is getting everybody to default to channel communications as opposed to DMs. And so at the moment, because it's a cultural shift thing that we're going through, we are constantly having to lead by example. That's probably one of the easiest ways of describing how to address these things. Engage with a lot of the leaders and the advocates within the company to just either redirect or constantly remind people over and over and over and over again to just shift to channel communications. yeah, and this is just showing the amount of engagement that we've had, or the messages over time. We were pitching for about 4 months, and then we just rolled out around 2 months ago. So 6 months in unofficially, 2 months in officially. Oh yes, and not everybody here may be into American football, but the final icing on the cake that even had our chief execs consider Slack was the fact that we want to position ourselves to catch the ball, not constantly react to firefighting. And in a company that is always getting stuff done, sometimes it's very easy to fall into that of, what's my immediate problem just here, and only looking at that. We had to look holistically, and I had to keep pushing about, if we set ourselves up for the future, we will be a lot better able to handle the changes that are coming, as opposed to waiting for the inevitable to happen. And that's me.